Dana White's Contender Series recap for week number 4. We had 4 fights go to decision, 1 finish, 4 contracts being handed out. Interesting night of fights because, going into this week, I had expected a lot of the prospects to, really put it on each other, right? There's a bunch of high-level prospects on this card, so I expected, more finishes or maybe, one star or maybe one fighter to really pop out. And we had a couple of those fights, but AJ Dobson was really the most impressive in my opinion today. Middleweight prospect, we need middleweights. UFC middleweight division not looking the greatest right now. We need some new talent. AJ Dobson is the right guy. But we're getting started here in the lightweight division with Victor Martinez versus Jacob Rosales. A lot of people heavy on Rosales, man, and it was interesting because Victor Martinez is a fighter that likes to, he thrives in the pocket, man. He thrives in exchanges in the pocket, right? And Rosales is the opposite of that. So I'm assuming people thought the size advantage with the experience that Jacob Rosales has was going to able to keep him at his range, just pick him apart. And he was doing that for the first round. Had Victor Martinez on skates, dropped him, maybe not on skates, but he dropped him immediately in the first round, towards the end of the round. Was really pumping him with that jab, and Victor Martinez, I saw, was having some success with his jab. But Rosales was really dictating the pace, but throughout the whole fight, he had the center of the cage regardless, but was really finding his range in that first round and dropped Martinez with a 1-2, I believe, right down the pipe and dropped him. And Victor Martinez did very well to recover, man. Came in that second round, in my opinion, edged the second and third round. Came in that second round, utilized his jab a little bit more, even though he's was going to be hit with a jab first because he's a smaller guy. Was using his jab very well, was getting in the pocket better, was mixing in his kicks. Rosales in the first round gassed himself a little bit, was throwing a lot of spinning kicks, threw a lot of volume. But both guys kept it up throughout the whole 3 rounds. Victor Martinez edging the second round, nothing really crazy. Was hitting him with a lot of check hooks, a lot of those type of things. He tried mixing in his wrestling, I believe, a couple times, but couldn't really get him down. Jacob Rosales, was taking down Victor Martinez, but Victor Martinez did very well to keep it standing. But at the end of the day, Victor Martinez won 29-28. And it was interesting because Rosales, you notice in the third round, immediately commentators mentioning that his right arm wasn't working, right? And you notice Jacob Rosales was only throwing a left jab, only throwing a left hook. And it was interesting because he was still keeping it on Victor Martinez, man. He was making it close with one hand. And, it's interesting with his record because he's only 26, but he's got one of these records that, you see short notice opponents like Brandon Jenkins recently came on short notice with a 15-7 record, very similar record. I think he's young. I think he still has time. He's very good. He kind of fights like Andre Fili. The way he's positioned, you'll see him kind of throw the jab, throw the high kicks similar to Andre Fili. But man, he's only 26. I think second time on Contender Series, very unfortunate that he lost. But I say you go back to the regional promotion, win 3 or 4 fights, in a row, and maybe you'll get a short notice call up. I don't doubt that. Jacob Rosales is very talented. But at the end of the day, Victor Martinez is the man, taking it home 29-28 and winning a contract, setting a record for the most strikes in a lightweight Contender Series fight. So there's that. Moving on up the card with Kleydson Rodrigues versus Santo Curatolo. Interesting, man. I had Curatolo going into this. Kleydson Rodrigues initially was set to fight Jake Hadley, and then had to pull up due to visa issues. Initially, I thought it was injury, but it was visa issues, and he came in here, short notice replacing with Santo Curatolo. And he put it on. Sorry about that. I did it again. Sorry. He put it on Curatolo and really messed him up, man. Was mixing in his kicks, his strikes very well. Was able to get up from takedowns when Santo Curatolo could get him down. Kleydson Rodrigues, clear size, strength advantage over Curatolo. And he put it on him, man. He put on a performance. And yeah, it was a beating, really. It was landing his body kicks very well. You saw Santo Curatolo's body turn pink practically, or maybe even red. His legs were completely battered because Kleydson was mixing his kicks very well, man. It's very evident that this guy has extreme talent, has extreme strength, man. You know, it might just be that Curatolo is only 5'3", but Kleydson, man, he very impressive, man. I'm interested to see how that Jake Hadley fight would have gone. Jake Hadley, very talented. I still think Jake Hadley would have won. But Kleydson, very impressive with his striking, and you know, people primarily knew him for as being a BJJ guy, but the man can strike his ass off. He's gonna make waves in the flyweight division for sure. He's only 25, gonna be 26 very soon. He's gonna be 26 by the time he fights again, guaranteed. But someone like that, man, flyweight division isn't the most stacked. You could match him up with someone like maybe Francisco Figueiredo because he's coming off a loss. You could put him up against someone like Rosales, you know, he's coming off a win. I'm not sure if he'll take this fight. I'm sure he'll lose, to be honest with you. Or you can give him someone like Malcolm Gordon coming off a win, but that's just unfortunate for Malcolm Gordon, if I'm being real here. But yeah, very young. For sure has top 10 potential in the flyweight division, not the most stacked division. I mean, it's stacked. Top 15 is stacked, very strong, but good opponents. But you know, it's not the biggest division. I definitely think he can make waves for sure. For sure. And obviously he got the contract. Moving on, Steven Nguyen versus Theo Rlayang. Man, very interesting fight, man. I felt like Steven Nguyen could have done more, man. You know, very clear, evident, you know, size advantage. I said that before, but it's unfortunate with the matchmaking, man. I know they know what they're doing. They're trying to get Steven Nguyen. He's a Contender Series guy. He lost to Elon Cruz. Got fucking flying knee in the head. He came back the second time. In my opinion, a decent performance. You know, Rlayang, in my opinion, aren't shown by those. Isn't as good as is shown by those odds. Rlayang, very powerful. I saw some of his fights, man. He's a scrapper. He's there to win. I knew he wasn't gonna get finished, and he didn't get finished. But Nguyen, man, fighting at range, picking him. You know, Theo thrives in that pocket as well, man. He throws overhands. He doesn't throw in combos. So Steven Nguyen was just picking him apart. But was getting hit in the body, man. It was an interesting performance. You know, pre-written. I don't know if that pre-written scorecard of 30-27 for Theo Nguyen. I definitely think Rlayang won one round. But there's not much to say about the performance, man. Nguyen was solid striking. Was hitting him at range. Was not letting Rlayang really get going in the fight. But you know, the performance is shown by him not receiving a contract. Right? He's still 28, 8-1. I definitely think he'll come. Maybe just come in short notice. I'm not sure if they're going to bring him on the Contender for the third time. I say he goes to LFA, win a fight there, maybe go for the title, wait for a fight for a vacant title if they have one for this division. But yeah, it was a decent performance, nothing too crazy, and it wasn't contract worthy according to Dana. So, my bad. That was okay. Moving on. Michael Morales versus Nikolay Veretennikov, man. Jeez, this was a very good fight, man. It had me on the end of my seat in the end of the second round going into the third when Dariush was in Nikolay's corners. Was telling him, like, come on, man, do this. I forgot what he was saying. I don't want to quote anything, but he was just screaming, like, telling Nikolay, you got this and all this, saying a bunch of stuff, man. It was crazy. Got me really amped up, man, because going that third round, it was 1-1, really, in my opinion. And Morales, man, turned it around. First round was interesting. Nikolay was finding his range very well, picking up, you know, just picking him apart, kind of, Morales. But Morales was, I'm not sure if it was the jitters, man. I wouldn't mind it. He's 21. I'm sure there were jitters in that first round. It took him a little bit to get comfortable. But Nikolay slowly slowing down, man. Morales was working the body a little bit, slowing down Nikolay, putting it on him. And Morales, man, after that second round, during that second round, going to that third round, it was all him, man. He was finding his range, hurting Nikolay on the feet, dropped him at a certain point, almost could have finished it in that second round. But yeah, I think Morales did very good, man. He mixed in his strikes and his wrestling very well. I think he maybe knew that he wasn't going to get Nikolay out of there after that second round, so he wanted to show off and press with his wrestling and all that. And of course, you know, Dana White's going to give him a contract. He's 21 years old. He mentioned that he saw something that could be great in Morales. I'm not sure if he sees like a Jones, but I don't really. But he's still young, man. It's interesting, man, because Nikolay's a good opponent, but you can't. It's hard for me to gauge how good Morales is going to do, you know, against once in the 170s in the UFC, because, you know, he's young, man. You know, you can't, regardless of all his experience and, you know, before, you know, fighting when he was younger, it's like you have these veterans who, you know, after that second round are not going to slow down, are not going to back up on the pedal, you know. But yeah, he has potential for sure, man. He's very young. It's hard to gauge at this point, but he's definitely got potential. 12-0 at 21. For sure, he can make waves in that division. But, you won't really know until you know. But I'm really high on Morales at this point. Pretty big for the division if you say so. But, yeah, impressive. Got the contract there. You could match him up with someone like maybe Veretennikov. He's coming off 2 losses. Veretennikov wants to stay on the feet. Morales, he prefers to see on the feet, really. He'll mix in his wrestling, so I'm not sure if Veretennikov would take that matchup. But, someone in that range. But, yeah, I say you wait a little bit. You take your time with this man. He's only 21. I say you wait at least 5-6 months, maybe. He's these younger fighters want to take bigger breaks because they have all the time in the world to grow. They don't want to be pushed. Similar to like Darren Till with Tyron Woodley, just got me ragdolled. But moving on, Hashem Arkhagha versus AJ Dobson. Okay, after the weight miss, I knew for sure that Dobson was going to take this, man. Hashem, had very big time gaps in his career. AJ Dobson, absolute monster, powerhouse. He went in there and they both just exchanged in the pocket, and then Hashem got fucking clipped pretty badly, and after that was on skates and couldn't really snap back into it. AJ Dobson mixed in his wrestling at a certain point after rocking Hashem very nicely and just started ground and pounding him, man. I thought it was going to end it immediately. Then Hashem manages to get back up. AJ Dobson rocks him again and then just finishes him off with a submission. Pretty sure it was a rear naked choke, and really just made a statement. 29 years old, man. We always need middleweights, bro. Middleweights are fucking, when you've got Derek Brunson in the top division, for so long, being 30-7, you need someone like AJ Dobson to get in there and just put him out. But yeah, AJ Dobson, very impressive win. Yeah, got the contract. There's not much to say. The man put it on him. Very impressive. Didn't get much to see besides that he was an absolute beast and can straight in the pocket and has power for days. But yeah, 4 contracts handed out. If I were to rate this Contender Series week card, in terms of how good the fights are, I would say 7 out of 10 because there were 4 decisions. Good fights. I would say 7 out of 10 because they were still action-packed. In terms of talent, I would say maybe an 8, 9. I would say like maybe a 9 out of 10 because there's a lot of good talent on this card. A lot of future. You got Kleydson, Rodrigues, and my boy Michael Morales, really very young, ready to make waves. AJ Dobson, middleweight division. I could see him getting in the top 20, top 25 sooner than later. But yeah, good fight with Hashem. And that'll be all. Peace.